Your need to control everything is the reason you control nothing. Does that sound like you? You think you're being responsible, thorough. Maybe you call it caring. But watch what happens when someone doesn't respond to your text within an hour. Watch what happens when your partner loads the dishwasher wrong. Watch what happens when a project doesn't go exactly as you planned it. That tension in your chest, that's not responsibility. That's addiction. And the cruelest part? You've convinced yourself it's a virtue. You micromanage your team because you care about quality. You correct your partner because you care about efficiency. You plan every detail because you care about success. But Marcus Aurelius saw through this 2,000 years ago. He wrote in his private journals that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And he was talking about people exactly like you. People who mistake anxiety for diligence. People who call their control addiction by prettier names. Here's what's actually happening. Every time you step in to control something, you're telling yourself a story. The story says, if I don't handle this, it will fall apart. If I don't monitor this, it will fail. If I don't intervene, chaos will win. And every time you act on that story, you get a hit of relief. Brief. Temporary. Just enough to confirm the story was true. See? I had to step in. Look what would have happened if I hadn't. But you never actually find out what would have happened. You never give reality a chance to prove your fear wrong. So the addiction deepens. The territory you need to control expands. First, it's your work. Then your home. Then other people's tone of voice. Other people's choices. Other people's thoughts about you. And here's the part that's destroying your peace. You think the problem is that you're not controlling enough. You think you're stressed because you haven't perfected the system yet. Get the right app, the right routine, the right way to communicate your standards. Then finally, everything will run smoothly. Then finally, you can relax. You can't see that control itself is the trap. By the end of this, you'll know exactly why your attempts to control everything guarantee you'll be controlled by everything. And what the Stoics discovered about the only thing worth controlling at all. There was a guy named Darius Kane, successful by most measures, ran a consulting firm, had that sharp, focused look of someone who had his life together. Angular features, the kind of jaw that suggested discipline. And he did have discipline. That wasn't his problem. His problem was that he couldn't let anything breathe. Every email his team sent, he reviewed. Every client interaction, he monitored. Every deadline, every detail, every decision, it passed through him. He'd stay up until 2 a.m, rewriting presentations that were already good enough. He'd listen to recordings of sales calls, noting where his employees could have performed better. At home, he'd rearrange the furniture his wife had arranged, redo the grocery list she'd made, correct the way his son held a pencil. He told himself this was excellence, this was leadership, this was love. But watch what it actually created. His team started waiting for him to decide everything. Why think for themselves when he'd just override it? His wife stopped trying. Why decorate? Why plan? Why suggest anything when he'd just have a better way? His son grew quiet around him, cautious, always waiting for the correction that was coming. And Darius? Darius was exhausted, resentful. Couldn't understand why no one seemed to care as much as he did. Couldn't understand why, despite controlling everything, nothing felt under control. One night, 2 a.m. again, redoing a proposal for the 3rd time, something cracked. Not dramatically. He just stopped, sat there, and for the first time, asked himself the question he'd been avoiding. What am I actually afraid of? That's when he started reading Marcus Aurelius. Not for productivity tips, not for leadership hacks, but because he recognized something in those private meditations. Marcus was the most powerful man in the world, and he spent his nights reminding himself that most of what he worried about was outside his control, that his job wasn't to control outcomes, but to control his own reasoned choice. Darius found one passage Marcus had written: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He read it again and again, because it was the opposite of everything he'd built his life around. Marcus was saying strength isn't about controlling more. It's about needing to control less. So Darius ran an experiment. He sent one email to his team without reviewing it 17 times. Sent it with a typo still in it. And he sat with a feeling that came up. That screaming certainty that disaster was imminent. That if he didn't fix it right now, something terrible would happen. He didn't fix it. Nothing terrible happened. The client responded positively. The typo didn't matter. And Darius realized something that changed everything. The disaster he was preventing wasn't real. It was a story. A story that justified the control. A story that made the addiction feel necessary. And once he saw the story, he couldn't unsee it. Every urge to control revealed itself as the same pattern. The same imagined catastrophe. The same need for the relief that came from intervening. He wasn't being responsible. He was being dependent. Dependent on the feeling of control, because without it, he had to face the truth that most of life is uncertain, that other people will do things differently, that outcomes will unfold in ways he can't predict or prevent. The Stoics had a word for this. They called it distinguishing between what's up to us and what's not up to us. Sounds simple. But Darius discovered it's the hardest thing a human being can do, because it means surrendering the story that your anxiety is protection, that your control is love, that your perfectionism is excellence. It means accepting that the only thing you actually control is how you respond. Not whether the email is perfect, whether you can let it be imperfect without losing your peace. Not whether people do things your way, whether you can let them do things their way without making it mean something about you. Here's what you do. Next time you feel that urge to step in, to correct, to take over, to fix what someone else is doing, pause. 3 seconds. And ask yourself one question. Am I about to do this because it actually needs to be done, or because I need the feeling of doing it? If the honest answer is the second one, if you're reaching for control to manage your own anxiety, let it go. Just that once. Let the email send. Let the person finish. Let the outcome unfold, and prove to yourself that you can survive without controlling it. That's it. One moment of choosing your peace over your pattern. You don't see it yet, but this is only the beginning.